Hello everyone, back to today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days. For today's second video, just take us to around the 22nd of March. So, it'll be pretty mild for the next few days. As we get to the weekend, there's increasing signs now that we're going to start to build high pressure up over Scandinavia and get the wind back into the east again, with another unusually cold air mass slipping down into northern and central parts of Europe, and then being brought our way on those easterly winds. Now, famous last words, but I don't think it will be as cold as we had it at the end of February and the beginning of March. I don't think we'll be talking about daytime temperatures of -4, -5 degrees. It's not going to be quite that severe. But nevertheless, this is another pretty nasty cold air mass that is moving into northern Europe at the end of the week and into the weekend. And if those easterly winds do pick up, they're going to bring that cold weather our way. So we could be talking about very cold temperatures for the time of year. It's not out of question that we might get some more snow from this as well. So another dose of pretty nasty easterly winds could be on the way for the weekend. How long it lasts, that is open to a lot of speculation. It might only be a few days, and then we go back into less cold conditions again. So I'll tell you everything that's going on very shortly. Now, last night I was meant to do an ensembles watch. There's a little bit of a family crisis yesterday that I had to get involved with and deal with. So the upshot was I wasn't able to bring you GFS ensembles watch. I know a few of you have been asking what happened to the video because you're expecting it, but sorry about that. It just real life sort of took over, and I wasn't able to bring you that video. So sorry about that, but again, these things do happen. So I'll talk you through everything that's going on for the next week to 10 days right now. We're going to begin by having a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next 7 to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure and low pressure are being driven by a jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. And these are the 7 to 10 day means, taking us to around the 22nd of March. So we find that in the 7 to 10 day time frame, we've got below average heights with the ECMWF centred across many central parts of Europe and into Eastern Europe as well. And then we've got a blocking feature out to the northwest of the British Isles, another one of these blocking ridges out to the northwest. So this is placing us on the cool side or the cold side of the jet stream. We're doing something like that again with the flow and with the jet stream. And we've already established cold air from the easterly at this point, and what's actually happened is that the high pressure Scandinavia has again retrogressed towards Greenland, and so now we're actually pulling the air down from the north or the northwest. This is slightly modified cold air coming down from that sort of direction. So by around 10 days, we're probably starting to look at less cold weather beginning to roll in from the northern Atlantic. But before that, we could have a pretty nasty shot of easterly winds once again. This is for GFS, and again, this is showing we've got an area of above average heights in the 7 to 10 day time frame around Scandinavia, and also going to the northern British Isles with below average heights, low pressure underneath it in the Atlantic, and to the southeast of Europe as well. And so we do something like that with the flow of the jet stream. We're still on the cold side of the jet, but actually on this one, the jet stream is a little bit closer to us. However, it's a bit more of an easterly influence as well, with the high pressure still centred in the 7 to 10 day time frame across Scandinavia. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. We're looking at Norwich today. So if we get the wind into the east at weekend, Norwich will be one of the first places that gets hit by those easterly winds. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Norwich. Next few days, no problems. We're going to be generally average to above average with the upper air temperatures. But from the weekend, look at this. We've got several ensemble members again. Plunging, really, going down to a very cold level between -10, -15 at 850 HPA. They are still a minority that are going down into that sort of very cold level. Most of the ensembles are still holding up around here. However, the GFS ensembles are trending into that direction, because I showed you the GFS ensembles in yesterday's video. the Sunday roundup, and at that point there was only like 2 or 3 ensemble members, including the operational run, which is depicted by the thick green line. There's only 2 or 3 ensemble members that were plunging down to a very cold level. Well, now you can see we've got several more. So obviously the GFS ensembles are trending into that direction. They don't keep it at that level for very long. It's going to be very, very hard now. I mean, we're talking about the middle of March. It's going to be very hard to sustain temperatures between minus 10 and minus 15 at 850 HPA for all that long. So quite quickly this time we're seeing the temperatures lifting back up again. But nevertheless, we could have really quite a nasty shot of cold air for a day or so. Anyway, over the weekend. In terms of precipitation, well, quite a lot of rainfall coming up for the rest of today. More rainfall later on in the week. Then as it goes colder, it goes a bit drier, but not totally dry. So again, there is a risk of some wintry weather coming in with those cold temperatures. And then as it goes the extended range, we still keep precipitation spikes going. Then, temperature anomalies for the next week are going a little bit colder than average now, so this is telling us that something is happening because these have been trending a little bit warmer over the next few days, over the past few days I should say, but for the week ahead, for the 12th to 20th of March, actually they're coming out a little bit colder than average again, and that's the case in many parts of northern Europe as well. You have to go down to the southeast towards Greece and the Black Sea to find the temperature anomaly above average. Most places coming out with a colder than average week. That's how the precipitation anomaly is looking for the weekend as well. Drier than average for the north, average to a bit wetter than average for England and for Wales too. So this is how the GFS is looking. High pressure is building over Scandinavia on Thursday, blocking this area of low pressure again in the Atlantic. And as we go through to Friday and through to Saturday, yes, we see the high pressure strengthening over Scandinavia. Here comes the beast from the east, part 2. We've got a 1,040 millibar ridge over the Baltic Sea, and the wind is beginning to turn into the east across much of northern Europe as well. There's the upper air temperature. So on Saturday it's not particularly cold with the upper air temperatures for western parts of Europe, but notice how cold it is over Scandinavia and northeastern Europe. Again, that's an unusually cold air mass, certainly for the time of year, that's plunged down into western Russia and northern Europe. So obviously, if the wind goes into that direction, it's going to start to drag that very cold air our way, and that's exactly what happens on this run of the GFS. So we go through to Sunday, and the winds have probably turned easterly then. The coldest air is still over on the continent on Sunday, but this easterly would have quite a chill to it, no doubt. There's the upper air temperatures. I mean, we are talking about a very unusually cold mass of air heading into Germany there. We're going down below minus 15 at 850 HPA again across Germany, which is really quite unusual, I would have thought, for the 18th of March. Those easterly winds, they are starting to drag that bitterly cold air our way. So on Monday, a week's time, Monday the 19th of March, we're in an easterly wind. The high pressure is centering between northern Scotland and Scandinavia. So there's those bitterly cold easterly winds coming in across England and Wales particularly again. Just follow the isobars back, you can see the air is originating from up here, has its origins across Siberia, and it is pushing in that direction along those easterly winds once again. There's the upper air temperatures then. In a week's time, we've pushed the minus 10 isotherm across much of England and Wales, and again we are bringing the minus 15 Celsius isotherm very, very close to southeastern parts of England. That's a really unusual thing to see. I can't emphasise how unusual that is for the 19th of March to see the minus 15 Celsius isotherm just over the other side of the English Channel. And so with the strength of the sun and this unusually cold air mass, it's not impossible that we could be generating some really quite heavy snow showers again in the southeastern part of the country. That's how we go through to Tuesday, still in the easterly wind. That takes us through to Wednesday, where we start to lose that easterly wind. It's still cold, the high pressure still generally centred to our east, but we've lost that bitter easterly wind, and the upper air temperatures are beginning to stage a bit of a recovery here as well. That's how things are looking at day 10, which is Thursday the 22nd of February. I mean, it's still cold, we're still talking about night frost, but it's nowhere near as cold as it is at the start of the week. So the saving grace of this is that it's only a day or so's wonder, this easy wind, and then we start to lose the very coldest of the upper air temperatures. And actually, as we go into the final week of March, just run you on a little bit beyond day 10, this takes us to Saturday the 24th of March, and look at that, we're beginning to pick up a southwesterly wind. That is spring arriving. So if you're waiting for true spring, of course it's been a bit less cold over the past few days, but if you're waiting for true spring, that's it. By the 25th of March, we are in a proper mild southwesterly wind. That could be lifting temperatures up to around 15, 16, 17, who knows, maybe 18 degrees there by the final week of March, although it is still unsettled for the north. But certainly that is proper spring weather arriving as we get through to the closing days of the month. So maybe not too much longer to wait before spring finally arrives properly. This is how the GEM is looking, and again, we've got high pressure building over Scandinavia on Friday. Low pressure is out to the west of the country. Into the weekend, there comes that easterly wind again. So the GEM, the Canadian model, is placing us in the easterlies, or under easterlies, and may continue into the start of next week as well. Upper air temperatures are not as cold as the GFS is showing, so we only get the -5 isotherm across the country there. The -10 isotherm, just a small area of -10 at 850 HPA air, is over the North Sea and across northern Germany. So that's nowhere near as cold. I mean, it would still be cold. It's an easterly wind. It would still be cold enough to bring snow showers into the east. But it's nowhere near as bad as what the GFS is showing in terms of cold weather. In the extended range, the GFS brings the Atlantic back in. That's how we finish up on day 10. Low pressure's back in over the country. It's wet. And we've got high pressure trying to build around Greenland at that point. And then the ECMWF is looking like this. So again, for Thursday, the high pressure is in over Scandinavia. Scandinavia. The low pressure is out to the west of Ireland. Into the weekend, there we go, the high pressure inflates over Scandinavia, and it gets the wind properly into the east. Even by Saturday, we're pulling in an easterly wind. There's the upper air temperature showing that by Saturday, the -10 isotherm is already starting to arrive across eastern parts of Britain. Sunday, now this is quite interesting. We've got this bitterly cold easterly wind, and we're generating an area of low pressure to the south, which is engaging with that easterly. That could be a dump of snow for some parts of the country over the weekend. This is the coldest of all the models in terms of the upper air temperatures for us, because we're bringing that -10 isotherm across the country again. And it's also the coldest in terms of snow. It's the most severe in terms of snow, because this low pressure in the south would undoubtedly be producing quite a lot of heavy snow. Into the start of next week, we start to move that high pressure towards Greenland and Iceland and turn the winds into the north. So that's how things are looking. To the start of next week, we're in a northerly by then, we've lost the easterly, but it's still pretty cold. And as we go through to the middle part of next week, up to day 10, which is Thursday the 22nd of March, we begin to back the wind into the west again. So it starts to turn less cold. The wind begins to back to the west-northwest. It would still be chilly, certainly for the east, but signs that we begin to bring less cold. And eventually, I would have thought, milder air back in from off the Atlantic. These are the ECM ensembles for De Bilt in Holland, so they get the easterly before we do, if the winds do get into the east. So for the rest of this week, we're looking at a lot of mild weather, but into the weekend, look at that, we've got temperatures plunging down to barely above freezing with the maxima over the weekend. And then only very gradually through next week do we see those temperatures starting to pick up, but not getting back to the sort of mild level that they're at the moment. Nights also turning very cold. That's -5 Celsius, and many of these ensemble members are going down to at least -5 with the minimum temperatures for De Bilt. So certainly the ECM ensembles, compared to what we saw yesterday when we did the study roundup, the ECM ensembles have really shifted to some very cold weather over the weekend. And what about the snow potential with that ECM? Because I said it looked like it could be a bit of a snowmaker. So this is the snow depth forecast from weather.us, and you can find the link to weather.us on the links page. Starting on Thursday, barely any snow across the country on Thursday, just some left over the Scottish mountains. As we go through to Friday, That's how Friday looks again. Barely any snow across the country away from the Scottish mountains. But then we go to Saturday, and that's when the easterly wind is beginning to pick up. So on Saturday, we're starting to blow snow showers across the country, and particularly so for eastern areas. So we already have some snow cover by Saturday. And then as we run through the weekend, look at this, the snow depth just gets deeper and deeper. And then we go to Sunday, we've got that low pressure to the south, so that's producing a real snow event across many parts of England and Wales in particular. Also notice Ireland turning very snowy again also. So that's how we go. By the time we get through to Monday, we've got pretty deep snow across many parts of the country once again. Now, do bear in mind the those charts do sort of overestimate the snow depth a little bit because they assume every snowflake that falls will settle, and it's not that straightforward, and especially so as you get later and later into year, it's going to be harder to get all of the snowflakes to settle. But nevertheless, you will be talking about another snow event. You will be talking about a covering of snow through many parts of the country if that ECMWF run was to come off and was to prove correct for the weekend. We would be looking at more widespread and probably quite disruptive snow again across many parts of the country. So it's a case of here we go again. Beast from the East Part 2 could be on the way. It's going to be less severe in terms of the temperature than it was at the end of February and the beginning of this month. But nevertheless, it could still be packing a punch, and as we've just seen, it could bring some quite disruptive snow with it as well. So if you don't like the cold weather and the snow, bad news. But maybe by the time you get through to the final week of the month, spring will finally arrive. We'll be keeping you posted on that, of course. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.